The silk on your back costs more than your father made in a year. You know this because you counted every dollar he ever earned, every crumpled bill he pressed into your mother's hand on Friday nights in the apartment on Mulberry Street. You sit now at the head of a table long enough to seat 12 men, and 11 of those men want you dead. You can feel it the way you feel a change in weather, in your bones, in the back of your throat. The candles are lit. The wine is Barolo, 1919, $40 a bottle. The ossobuco is getting cold on your plate because you stopped eating 3 months ago. Not really eating. Not the way a man eats when he is not afraid. You push the marrow around with your fork and you think about the title they gave you, the title they whispered with reverence in the dark. And now you understand, sitting here in your $10 shirt and your hand-stitched Brioni jacket, what that title actually means. It means you are the tallest tree in a forest of men who carry axes. They told you it was blood or gold. They never told you it was always blood. It was always only ever blood. But to understand how you arrived at this table, you have to go back. All the way back. To the cold. The cold in New York in 1921 is a living thing. It has teeth. You arrive at Ellis Island in February with $43 sewn into the lining of a coat that belonged to your uncle who died of tuberculosis the previous spring. The harbor smells like salt and diesel and the particular despair of 600 people who have crossed an ocean and arrived somewhere that does not want them. You are 19 years old. You speak maybe 40 words of English. Hungry is one of them. Work is another. You find a cousin, third or fourth removed, in a building on Hester Street where 7 families share 2 toilets and the hallways smell like boiled cabbage and mildew. He gets you a job. Not a real job. A job that exists in the gray margins of the city, which in 1921 means a speakeasy on Broom Street called the Silver Nail. Your job is to sweep the floor before the place opens at 7 in the evening, to carry crates of bootleg whiskey from a truck in the alley, and to empty the spittoons. You are paid $4 a week. Rent on the cot in your cousin's apartment is $2.50. That leaves you $1.50 for food, clothing, and whatever American dream the newspapers keep promising. You do this for 11 months. You sweep. You carry. You empty the spittoons without complaint, which is the most important thing. The man who runs the Silver Nail is a squat Sicilian named Caruso, no relation to the singer, who watches everything from a stool near the bar with the flat, patient eyes of a man who has been watching things for a very long time. He notices that you do not steal. He notices that when a drunk customer puts his hands on one of the girls, you step between them quietly, without being asked, without making a scene. He notices that you keep your mouth shut about what you see. And in this business, in this city, in this particular year, a closed mouth is worth more than a fast pair of hands. One night in January of 1922, Caruso calls you over. He slides a glass of rye across the bar. He says, in Sicilian, "You are a serious young man." You nod. He says, "Serious young men in this city have 2 options. They can be serious and poor, or they can become part of something." He does not say what something is. He does not need to. You already know. You have watched the men in the good suits come and go through the back door. You have seen the envelopes. You have understood the arithmetic of this world as only a hungry man can understand it, with absolute and unsentimental clarity. You pick up the glass. You drink. The first thing they ask you to do is deliver a package. This is the test, and everyone knows it is the test. But you are not supposed to know it is a test, so you carry yourself as though it is the most ordinary thing in the world, walking 14 blocks through February sleet with a paper parcel under your arm that you know, with complete certainty, contains a pistol. You deliver it to a barber shop on Mott Street. You wait for the man inside to nod. You walk back. You do not run. You do not look over your shoulder. When you return, Caruso is waiting. He looks at you for a long moment, then he nods. And that nod is your first promotion. You are a runner now, then a lookout, then something with no official name, which means you are the man they send when someone needs to be persuaded. Persuasion, in the context of the 1920s New York underworld, means visiting a merchant who has refused to pay protection and making sure he reconsiders his position. You are good at this because you understand something that many young men in your position do not. Violence is a last resort for amateurs. The threat of violence delivered quietly, with eye contact, with absolute stillness, is worth 10 broken noses. You break very few noses. You are therefore considered extraordinarily effective. By the summer of 1922, you are making $35 a week. You buy a suit. One suit, dark wool, off the rack from a shop on Canal Street. $17. You have it pressed and you wear it like armor. You eat at restaurants now. Not the good restaurants, not yet, but restaurants where you sit at a table and a man brings you food and you pay with money from your pocket. And you leave a tip that is not calculated against the cost of your cousin's cot. This is luxury, as you have so far defined it, and it tastes extraordinary. Then comes the night they call making your bones, and everything that follows belongs to a different version of you. The man they send you to find is named Pio Ferrante. He is a runner for a rival outfit operating out of Brooklyn who has been skimming from collections, which is the one sin in this world that is genuinely unforgivable. Not because of the money, but because it implies a belief that you are smarter than the men above you. Ferrante has been operating on this belief for approximately 4 months. You find him in a pool hall on Atlantic Avenue. It is a Thursday evening in October, and the leaves on the trees outside are the color of old blood. You have done this in your mind so many times that when the actual moment arrives, it is almost administrative. You feel a coldness that you will spend the rest of your life trying to understand. Not guilt, not satisfaction. Something more like the silence after a door closes. You walk out of that pool hall, and you do not look back, and you take the train home, and you sit on the edge of your bed, and you stare at the wall. And sometime around 4 in the morning you understand that you have become something permanent. There is no version of your future in which this night does not exist. They take you to a room above a restaurant on Grand Street the following week. There are 7 men sitting around a table. One of them is holding a small card with a saint printed on it, and a pin, and a small candle. You prick your finger. The blood drops onto the card. The card burns. You repeat words in Sicilian about dying by fire rather than betraying the family. This is the Omertà. This is the oath. You are now, in the only language that matters in this world, a made man. Your territory is 4 blocks of the Lower East Side. You are responsible for the numbers operation, 2 speakeasies, and the protection payments from 11 businesses. You have 2 soldiers beneath you, then 3, then 5. By 1924, you are moving to a proper apartment. 2 rooms, steam heat, a bathroom with a tub. You buy a second suit. You have both suits pressed. You begin eating at places where the tablecloths are white. Your earnings are now $200 a week. You send 50 home to your mother in Palermo every month. You buy a hat. You buy shoes, Florsheim, $12. The most you have ever spent on anything you will put on your feet. Men in the street step aside when they see you coming. Not because of the shoes, because of the way you walk in them. By 1926, you are a capo. You oversee 23 men, and your territory has expanded to include a significant piece of the bootlegging corridor between the docks and Midtown Manhattan. Your cut of the weekly collections is roughly $800. You have a driver. You have an apartment on the Upper West Side with crown molding and a view of the park. You are 34 years old. You have arrived at the table they promised you. And now the food on the table is getting cold because you cannot eat, because you have sat where the boss sits, and you have learned the first truth of that position. The organization does not run on loyalty. It runs on calculation. Every man beneath you is performing the same arithmetic you performed when you were standing in Caruso's bar deciding whether to pick up the glass. They are weighing you, your usefulness versus your dangerousness, your strength versus the effort it would take to replace you. And you realize, with the kind of clarity that only real fear produces, that you have become too powerful for your own safety, and not quite powerful enough to be untouchable. You have 3 capos beneath you now, and you cannot trust any of them. There is Luca Mancini, who smiles too quickly and whose eyes do not participate in the smile. There is Salborelli, who has been meeting privately with men from the Chicago outfit, which is not in itself a crime but is not nothing either. And there is Dominic Ferraro, who you have known since Hester Street, who stood beside you at the Omertà, whose loyalty you believed in the way you believed in weather or gravity, and who you now watch with the particular sadness of a man who understands that the oldest friendships make the most efficient betrayals. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has a file on you. You know this because you pay a man in the Department of Justice $40 a week to tell you things. He tells you the file is now over 200 pages. He tells you they have a photograph of you entering a warehouse in Red Hook in the spring of 1925. He tells you they are looking for someone to turn. You ask him who. He says he does not know yet. You give him an extra 20 and you go home and you stand at your window and look at Central Park for a long time. The call comes on a Tuesday morning in November. It is Dominic. His voice is the same voice that told you his daughter was born, that toasted your name at 100 dinners, that spoke the words of the Omertà standing beside you in a room above a restaurant. He says the boss wants to see you. He says it is nothing, a routine sit down. He will pick you up at 8. His voice is perfectly steady. This is how you know. A man whose voice is perfectly steady when it should carry even a trace of ordinary nervousness is a man who has rehearsed. A man who has rehearsed has prepared for something. You know this because you have done it yourself. You hang up the telephone. You sit down. You look at the suit hanging on the back of the door, the handmade suit. $80 from a tailor on Fifth Avenue, the finest piece of clothing you have ever owned. You think about a boy on a boat in February, $43 in his uncle's coat. His whole life arranged before him like a hallway with no exits. Blood or gold, they told you. Your life in every rank of the 1920s Mafia, and you cannot escape, because there is only one rank left now. And every man who has ever held it arrived there the same way. In a car, at night, with someone they trusted driving, headed somewhere they would never come back from. You stand up, you put on your jacket, you walk to the door. Some doors, once you open them, have always only ever opened one way.